The alarms were already blaring on the top floor of Carrington Tower when Ethan Hale, the quiet janitor with tired eyes and a fading name badge, rushed toward the executive office where the billionaire's twin daughters had just locked themselves inside again. The hallway was chaos, executives whispering, bodyguards pacing, and assistants clutching tablets as though the world were collapsing. Everyone knew the rule: no one, even the highest-paid nannies, could handle the twins for more than a week. Some lasted a day. Some fled in tears. And now, after another meltdown, the entire building seemed to hold its breath as Ethan, the man no one ever noticed, took the heavy steps toward the glass office door. His heart pounded, not from fear of the twins, but from the silent panic that came with knowing he was already late picking up his own little girl from daycare again. He never imagined that stepping into that office would change his life, his daughter's future, and the destiny of a family far above his pay grade. But destiny has a strange habit of finding those who quietly endure the most. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the hidden strength of ordinary people, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Grandma Dearie. Your support helps stories like this reach more hearts. Inside the office, the twin girls, 8 years old, identical on the outside but storm clouds of opposite emotions on the inside, were crouched behind overturned chairs, their tiny shoulders shaking from the echoes of a tantrum. Ethan didn't raise his voice. He didn't flinch. Instead, something soft flickered inside him when he saw them like that. Because he knew that kind of fear. He had seen it in his daughter, Lily, after nights when she cried herself to sleep asking why her mother never came home. Maybe that was why he felt something shift. Maybe that was why the twins, who trusted no one, looked up at him with wide, startled eyes instead of screams. The room was cold with tension, the air heavy with the failure of every adult who had tried before him. But Ethan simply knelt, his old work pants wrinkling beneath him, and waited. Not demanding. Not correcting. Simply being present in a way the girls weren't used to. And something inside that room cracked open, not chaos, but possibility. Word spread fast. In a skyscraper where money moved faster than compassion, Ethan's quiet bond with the twins became a whisper that floated through every corridor. The billionaire, Alexander Carrington, returned from an emergency meeting expecting to hear another nanny had quit. Instead, he saw the impossible, his daughters following the janitor in calm steps, holding the edges of his uniform shirt as if it were a lifeline. The sight shook him in ways he wasn't prepared for, because he had built empires but still had no idea how to build a connection with the two girls who needed him more than any fortune. He didn't know that Ethan hadn't slept properly in years, working night shifts after his wife vanished without goodbye, raising Lily alone while juggling bills, exhaustion, and the weight of promises he tried so hard to keep. The billionaire only saw the surface, someone who tamed what no one else could. But the truth was deeper. Children recognize broken hearts, and the twins had sensed Ethan's long before anyone else did. Days turned into weeks, and Carrington Tower transformed. The twins stopped screaming during meetings. They laughed more. They drew pictures. They asked for Ethan every morning, waiting by the elevator with hopeful eyes. And Alexander watched from a distance as the janitor healed wounds he couldn't reach with money, tutors, or the most expensive specialists in the city. But Ethan wasn't performing miracles, he was offering something pure, something gentle, something he himself had learned through survival, patience born from struggle. His interactions with the girls weren't strategy, but instinct. When they refused food, he sat beside them and told them about the silly meals he burned as a struggling dad. When they panicked at noise, he guided them through slow breaths, the same way he calmed Lily whenever thunder shook their tiny apartment. Everything he did came from love, not training. And slowly, the billionaire began to understand that he had spent so much time building wealth that he had forgotten how to build connection. But not everything was peaceful. Some executives sneered behind polished conference tables, whispering that a janitor had no place shaping the billionaire's daughters. Others suggested replacing Ethan with a professional now that the girls seemed somewhat better. There were people who couldn't stand the idea of someone without degrees or credentials accomplishing what they couldn't. One evening, exhausted and overwhelmed, Ethan overheard two employees mocking his background and implying he was only being kept because he was cheap labor. Their words hit a wound he had carried for years. That night, he almost quit. He returned home to his tiny apartment where Lily slept with her arms around her stuffed rabbit, and for a long time, he just watched her. He wondered if he was doing enough. If he had anything left to give. If all the progress at the tower would fall apart without him. The next morning, when he arrived at work, the twins were waiting for him in the lobby. But they weren't smiling. Their eyes were red. Their hands trembled. They had heard whispers too, whispers that someone they finally trusted might disappear like everyone else. And in that moment, the fear of abandonment etched on their faces cut through every doubt inside Ethan. He knelt beside them, feeling something shift again, a sense of purpose he hadn't dared to claim. The billionaire wasn't watching from his office this time. He was right there beside his daughters, seeing clearly for the first time the deep emotional scars his children held and the quiet power Ethan carried. Something broke inside Alexander, not in weakness, but in understanding. From that day forward, everything changed. Alexander asked Ethan to stay, not as a janitor, not as a temporary helper, but as the children's official caregiver and emotional anchor. The offer came with a salary Ethan never imagined, a home closer to the tower so Lily wouldn't spend hours in daycare, and support he never even knew how